So hello and welcome to our Friday Digest series. This is our special 2024 elections and voting information session. So thank you so much for joining us. And thanks for joining us, Kristen.
Right.
And great. No worries, Charles. Thanks for joining us. Please enter your name in the chat and where you're tuning in from. And any questions that you have while Jared and I are talking, feel free to put them in the chat and we'll get to them at the end. So our goal with these Friday Digests is to provide you with information, tools, and resources to be an informed and active advocate. We also want the agenda for these virtual meetings to be driven by your interests and needs. So let us know what you want to hear about. The easiest way to provide this information is to fill out the survey that we're going to provide at the end of this session. So great. So as we move through our half hour today, please type your questions and comments into the Q&A or into the chat, and we'll get to them at the end. So joining us today is Jared DeMarinis, who became Maryland State Administrator of Elections in 2023 after a unanimous selection of the bipartisan 5-member State Board of Elections. Previously, he served for 18 years as the Director of Candidacy and Campaign Finance. In that position, he took a proactive approach to election administration and campaign finance, making Maryland a model state for the use of new technologies by campaigns, campaign disclosure, and enforcement. So thank you so much for joining us today, Jared. I know this is your busy season, so
Yes.
especially thank you.
Well, thank you. Thank you for inviting me on your Friday session here, and so I can talk about elections. It's what I'd love to do. So thank you.
Fantastic. Well, then let's just get started. So how did
Sure.
you get started with the Board of Elections?
Well, my background was prior to this was in campaigns, and so when candidacy and campaign finance opened up, I was a natural fit for that. And from there, when there was an opportunity to take over the reins of as state administrator, I looked forward to that challenge because working with everyone at the General Assembly and with campaigns and advocates. I felt like it was a great time to take the next step and to expand and be proactive on all facets of elections now. So yes, so it took me a while, but I come from a campaign background, so I know exactly. I used to go door to door, knocking on things and charting stuff. So yeah, it's been a lot of fun.
Fantastic. I'm glad. So let's just get right into the meat of it.
Sure.
Why should we feel confident about Maryland's elections?
Well, one, I think that so we have been making sure that they've always been secure. And security also is something where I believe in transparency. And so it's a balancing act, right? So on mail-in voting, for example, here, right? We're tracking the mail from the vendor when we're shipping it out to, which we're starting to send out mail-in ballots relatively soon, all the way to your mailbox. And if you use the postal service to mail it back to us, we track that piece of mail. If you use the drop boxes, which we're deploying today, it will be coming right into the local boards of elections. And the transparency and openness part is that once we receive it, we let the voter know that, it's been received so that they can feel confident. Yes, like this ballot has been received, that it's been canvassed. Oh, so they know the process along the way. So it's not, you're going to get an email saying your ballot's is coming soon. Be on the lookout for it. So they're a part of the process as well. Internally, we've made sure that the equipment that we use always has logic and accuracy testing beforehand that's open to the public so that they can understand that the machines are counting exactly what they're supposed to be counting. It's kind of like watching paint dry, but sure, you can come out and watch it or ask for it. But the security measures there are high, and we also make sure that there's avenues for to prevent double voting. So there's a lot of protocols that are in place so that Marylanders can feel confident in the accuracy of election results.
That's great. That's great. So do you want to tell our members where you were this morning, which is pretty exciting?
Sure. I was at my warehouse. It was a lot of fun. I was watching, we were deploying the 286 drop boxes to throughout the counties. Probably post a video if I could get it up later on showing about it. But it was it's started now. You know, while election day is November 5th, Marylanders, like I said, we're producing the ballots now. By military and overseas voters are going to get theirs starting the 21st of this month. And everyone in Maryland, you're going to start receiving, if you're already on the list, the permanent mail-in ballot list, you're going to receive this on September 23rd. So, voting will take place this month in the state of Maryland. So election day has started for me.
That's fantastic. Yeah, because we're only 53 days away from November 5th, but
Exactly.
it's counting.
Right. I have it down to the hour on my phone, so.
Right. So that actually is a great question that Mark poses about where are the drop boxes located and how are they decided where they're placed?
So the local board decide where they're placed, and they're located throughout the county. And we have a list on our website where they are. I don't know where all 286 are located off the top of my head here, but there is a list, and please check our website for those locations. They'll be out there. And back to the security method, all those drop boxes are under 24-hour, 7-day surveillance, 7-day-a-week surveillance with video monitoring, so that we, making sure that, if there's any, bad actors on those drop boxes, that we can prosecute as well.
That's fantastic. And then also along with the link on the State Board of Elections website, you can also find it on our website, which just links to the State Board of Elections website, where of the list of all the drop boxes in the state. Great. So another question that our members had is, Kathleen asked, so in the course of this election cycle, have you noticed that election workers have dropped out of volunteering because of intimidation in any counties in Maryland?
So one that is a national problem. Yes, it has a kind of affected us, but I was proactive in making sure we worked with the General Assembly the last session to help with election judges. One, we increased the pay from, now it's $250 for the day with $50 training. And if you're a returning judge, you get an extra $100 bonus. So if you're on the fence and you were once an election judge here, you get an extra $100 to come back. And with the governor, one of the governor's initiatives last year was to help protect election officials and election judges from undue harassment and, I would say, emotional stress from social media posts. So we have extra protections there. So I think, we're trending in the right direction, that we saw a problem nationally, and we're not waiting for critical before making any sort of adjustments here. And hopefully I can work again with the General Assembly to maybe increase more pay and get the what I really want to start seeing is younger people volunteering or participating as election judges. It's really volunteering. I got to say, $250. It's not a lot of money, but it's something. But I think that the more that they get involved, the better off we all are, and it will help increase their turnout amongst the youth.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, and we were excited to work on that bill the past legislative session as well. So we were excited to see that pass and become law. So, and we're excited to work through the next legislative session to increase that. So that's great. So I think what we're going to do now is kind of shift our focus a little bit into, so a lot of our members, they already are registered to vote. They know what to do. Are there any changes that you want folks to know about in this voting process in 2024 that's different from 2022?
Well, voting processes, not so much. I mean, we have 3 ways of voting in the state of Maryland here. One, mail-in, which has been taking over a larger portion of our ways here. If you want the convenience of mail-in voting, you can still apply now. We're constantly starting, like I said, the 23rd is when we start mailing. Doesn't mean we stop as well. So if you keep on requesting those ballots, we will, process them, those requests. Also early voting, which is October 24th through the 31st. I was just joking today about the idea of Halloween on election day. I'm going to be out and about. I got to see. I know people are going to show up in costumes, so that's going to be fun. And then, of course, you can vote in person on election day as well. One of the big things is, I think, making a plan to vote and executing that plan. We have a website, which is, with some of our deadlines. It's vote.md.gov/vote 2024. And if you want to have a calendar that links right directly to your phone, you can upload all the dates right into your phone, and it would block it off for you as well. So it would be easy reminders to make sure that, oh yeah, today I should go vote. So yeah.
That's great. Yeah, no, that's always a good reminder. And actually, we also have that ability on our website as well to make a plan to vote. So if you either decide to do a mail-in vote, mail-in ballot, or if you want to go early voting, just deciding like when and where you're going to go do it, that's all available on our website too. So thank you so much. And it's a link in our chat as well.
Exactly. Thanks. I see that. It's excellent.
Fantastic. So on that same, I think we touched on this a little bit, but on that same vein of mail-in ballots, how do people track to see if it's been received and if it's been counted already? Because I know sometimes, yeah,
right. I was going to say, we'll tell you on that one there. So, that's one of the things that, you don't have to now ask us for that information here. Like, we're going to be telling the voter through either a text or an email that it has been received and it has been canvassed. Now, there might be a delay because of the canvass, like when that begins. We are starting a little bit early, but if you drop it off closer to election day, it might be after election day, but it will be counted. So all those ballots, we make sure that every vote gets counted in the state of Maryland. So you can have trust in that system. And when in doubt, if you have any questions about it, always call the State Board of Elections. Well, we're happy to help where the process is that, oh, it's been received. We would tell you it's, in the process of being, canvassed. We are the trusted source of information out there. And it's important that, if you have questions to contact us as the trusted source. And that flows into my other thing too, which is my biggest fear right now for elections is more disinformation than anything else. So I didn't want to ask if that was your next question. I could just take that over. So
how did you know?
Excellent, thank you. I mean, right now, disinformation and misinformation just goes viral so fast, and it's hard. But I'm trying to be very proactive, and by doing these forums and these talks to make sure that come to the website, check the real information here. Additionally, if you see something out there on your social media platforms, because listen, in this day and age, micro-targeting, I'm not going to see what you see, Dannielle, right? Like, we're all going to be getting different messages and information. If you see something that is wrong or questionable, we have a portal on our website that for people to report disinformation and misinformation, and we can and then we can then go and correct the record with the social media site, and make sure that the right information is known to the electorate. Or if it rises to such a level where it's trying to disenfranchise individuals, we can seek to get it removed and work with law enforcement because of suppression of vote tactics there. So we have a wide gambit of tools at our disposal, but we can't be everywhere. So it's kind of like a, a community effort now to help battle disinformation, and that we're all in this kind of process together to help our democracy.
Of course. Yeah, no, that's fantastic. And I will also in our follow-up provide that link to the portal to report any misinformation or disinformation that you see. I want to pivot back to mail-in balloting,
Sure.
to mail-in ballots, and say, when you say that you canvass the ballots, what do you mean by that?
So that means the counting, right? So, like when you go to on election day or early voting, like you're physically putting the vote in the scanner. And then right at the end, the election judges, when they close out the machines, they put the tally and everything else. So with mail-in ballots, there's a process afterwards where there's bipartisan teams. They open up it in front of the local board of canvassers. And then, it's open to the public. Again, you can watch paint dry, but you can come and watch this as well. And, they would open it up, smooth it out, and then stick it in the scanners for everyone to, so then it could get counted. So yes.
That's great. So this really this flows into a different question from our own Kristen Harbison. Will voters be told if there's a problem with their ballot for it to be cured?
Yes. Thank you, Kristen, for that one there. That was one of the more recent policy initiative from the General Assembly, which I'm very happy about. We have the ability to, voters, if they forget to sign the oath, that could disenfranchise them because it's a technical, omission on mail-in voting. Well, if it's delivered to us early, we will contact the voter, tell them about the omission, and that they have an opportunity to cure. Now we have a lot of tools at our disposal. We have a new system like text to cure, where we would send out a specific message to them and ask them for a signature back. We would send out emails. They can come into the office to help cure it, but we will contact the voter if there is an issue with their mail-in ballot. And because our last canvass is not until 10 days after the election, you'll have that until that window to help cure it up until that final canvass. I don't recommend it. If you get a notice from us, please cure immediately. I would like that as best as possible. You're not waiting until the last moment there. But yes, we do have the ability to help with voters who make omissions or deficiencies on the outside of the ballot that would prevent it from being counted.
Great. That's fantastic. And I think this really flows into a question from Joe from Patagonia. What kind of volunteer opportunities are there? Can people sign up to be a volunteer, not just for an election judge, but any sort of other election work?
Yes, I think you can probably contact the local board of elections. Right now, I mean, of course, their biggest thing is election judges and helping out there. Also, if one of the things that I like to promote too is we have an election page program. So if you're a 14 or a 16-year-old, 14 or 15-year-old, individual, they can come and become an election page, and then they get to see the process and help with election judges on early voting or on election day. School's closed, so they should be able to come on out. They can get some service hour credits or whatever credits that they need. It's a great opportunity. I forced both my children to do it, and force is probably the key word there, because they were like, I didn't want to do it, but they they did it. So they were both election pages, and then they can become election judges at the age of 16. At that point there, so we're always looking for those opportunities to help. And if someone wants to go out and do voter registration drives, we're always happy to help train for voter registration efforts as well on that front.
Fantastic. So Joe also asked, what does a judge do? Like when you say election judge, what is it? What does that encompass?
Well, they don't get a gavel. They don't get any like a little wig or anything like that. Um, so no, they help. They're the actually like the bedrock of our of elections here, because we have over 2,000, close to 2,000, polling and early voting centers all together here. Without them, we can't conduct the election. So what they do is, as a voter comes in, they check in the voter to make sure that they're registered on the poll book. We have electronic poll book, so they find the voter. They give the correct ballot to the voter, make sure, and if the voter has any questions about like how to put it into the scanner, or if they're using the ballot marking device, like going back and forth, they're there to help facilitate any of those like technical questions there. But they're there from start to finish, and they're the ones that help administer the elections for us, and they get trained at the local boards, and they're made up of usually bipartisan teams, but we also allow for unaffiliated and individuals that are registered with third parties as well to be election judges. You don't have to be a Democrat or a Republican. All are welcome to be that an election judge. We always need as many as possible. But and the only other thing too is that you're just nonpartisan. You just you perform this service, and you go about your day. So it's great.
That's great. Yeah, fantastic. So I think the next question that we got from our members is from Deidre, and she asks, what do you say to people who are still undecided about whether to vote, like whether their vote counts? And these are my favorite stories.
Wow. Well, the first part about whether whether to vote, to me, I'm an amateur historian, and I get a little bit more emotional about this because I look at like the struggles that everyone has taken to get the right to vote, and we're in a situation where we're very fortunate that it's a very almost universal right now, and Maryland is extremely progressive in the amount of ways and methods for us to vote, that you don't have to look very far in our history to see the struggle that has taken place. That it took a constitutional amendment for women to get the right to vote, and that was a little bit over 100 years ago. The Civil War changing the struggle for African Americans, and then that was even taking even further with voting rights acts to the 1960s. That this was not something that was automatically given to everyone from it. And my family was Italian immigrants and coming over before King and fascism and everything else, like this, like all these struggles that we all kind of that our ancestors and our relatives all took place here, that I almost feel like that it's our duty to honor those memories, and that we have to vote. And sometimes it's always the top of the ticket. Well, this is it doesn't matter or anything like that. It does, because it's your voice, and if you're not exercising it, then it's easy to be taken away. Additionally, there's all those down the ballot races that have direct impact. There's constitutional questions that are on this ballot right now that will have direct impact on your lives. So I feel as though that that's why I get very emotional about this, that it's not just something that we're the shining star of democracy across the land and the world here, but also just the struggles that each one of us internally has had in our family history to get to this point, makes it so that we should honor that struggle and not take it for granted. And so I firmly believe that you need to register and get out and vote.
Fantastic. Yes, exactly. And also, some of these races, especially the local ones, they can be decided by a handful of votes. So it's just
Yes.
it's really amazing. So yes, so let me make sure I'm not missing any other questions. I think that the only other thing I wanted to add and ask you about that we discussed was just to circle back around to what I think the big issue for this election season is misinformation and disinformation, and just not even to only look out for it on your social media, but also there's been a couple phishing scams through text messages. So just keep a lookout for that and how you can protect yourself, because people are just literally fishing for information about you. Is really don't click on any links that you don't recognize, and also make sure that it's a valid website as well, to protect yourself and your personal information, but also to make sure that you are registering to vote through the correct channels through the Maryland
Exactly.
State Board of Elections. So I didn't know if you wanted to add anything else to that as we
Yeah,
close.
I think so. Yeah, there has been a texting scam that is going on, and it's been saying like urgent. You're not, according to public records, you're not registered to vote, and it's going to registered voters there. Where and it's with a little tiny URL code at the bottom there to click on and link. Yes, you know what? First, if you get those text messages, please report it through the portal because they're not sent by the State Board of Elections. We will go after those, and we're tracking those numbers with law enforcement on that front. We're not going to be proactively telling anybody who's not registered. Additionally, all our websites always end with .gov, which is making sure that that's the trusted source. If you do see something, don't click, as you said, don't click, leave it, go to the trusted source directly, which is the State Board of Election website. Follow us on social media or myself on social media. Happy to answer those questions there, and making sure that you get the correct information. And if this is the end here, I just want the advanced voter registration deadline right now. I just wanted to give a few of those deadlines here as October 15th, and that's just because that's the advanced one. So if you haven't registered to vote, you can do by mail or on the line by October 15th. But don't worry, if you forget that deadline, you can always register to vote during the early voting period through October 24th through the 31st, or on election day, November 5th. So because we have same day voter registration, you can register to vote and vote the exact same day there. But I'd like you to do the advanced voter registration deadline there as well. So it is important there. And then if you register to vote, you have the opportunity to request a mail-in ballot, and or you'll get your sample specimen ballot sent in the mail with all the early voting locations and your polling place as well for election day.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Jared. That is all the time that we have for today. So thank you all for joining and your support in our work. Your participation and great questions is what makes these sessions great. If you have any questions that weren't answered today, you can always send them to us by email, and our team will get back to you. And if we can't answer it, then we'll bother Jared and ask him to answer it. And also please check out, new this year is our 2024 voting guide that has all those dates that Jared mentioned and links to the Maryland State Board of Elections website to get you registered to vote, make sure all your information's up to date, and also to request your mail-in ballot. So please fill out this short 5-question survey, which should be in the chat now. It might even be 4 questions. So now you can just let us know what you think about the session and what you like to see from us moving forward. And I always have to plug, don't forget to grab your tickets for this year's Changemakers, our annual fundraiser. This year, it's going to be at the University of Maryland, College Park. It's going to be a lot of fun. I hope you can join us, Jared. It's September 26th, maybe a night to just hang out before the elections.
Right.
Anyway, well, we'll send a follow-up email in the next few hours with those links, the recording, and the survey. So thank you so much again, Jared, for your time today. Thank you, everybody, for joining us, and we will see you next time.
Exactly. Well, thank you.
Bye.
Take care. Bye.